Hey up, that old Yorkshire geek here again with some more geeky news from the world of genre stuff, sci-fi, fantasy, blah de blah de blah. Not your best of moves today, so don't start with me. I've had a lot of problems, the computer's been playing up, my microphone played up, so I've got this cheap and nasty microphone. Seems to be working, but the one I spent a bit of money on, it's all popping and being stupid. So I might have to get another one. I might have to just splash out and get one of these ones that have a big arm and look like I'm in Radio 1 or something. Or maybe not, but we'll see how we go on anyway. Right, I've got some news today anyway. Quite a bit of news today, so I might be here a while. Some good news, some nice news, and some sad news. But we'll start with some nice news. So we'll pop up Chrome. There it is. John Williams is 90 years old today. Of course, everybody knows John Williams, the greatest film score composer of all time. Nobody'd argue with that. So let's have a read and see what The Guardian is saying about him. John Williams at 90, he's so much smarter than his critics. I didn't know he had any critics. He has created some of the most memorable film scores of all time, including Jaws, Star Wars and E.T. Is it time he was regarded as a great composer? I thought he already was. There's a story that John Williams was working on Schindler's List when he suggested to Steven Spielberg that he needed a better composer for his overwhelming Holocaust drama. "I know, but they're all dead," replied the director. The anecdote is redolent not only of Williams's humble view of his handiwork, but also speaks to the traditional gulf in perception between the populist Williams, he has the most entries of any living composer in Classic FM's Hall of Fame, and the vaunted masters of classical music. Celebrating his 90th birthday on 8th February, Williams has a body of film work that encompasses blockbusters, 9 Star Wars movies, 4 Indiana Joneses, 3 Harry Potters, 2 Jurassic Parks and the first Superman film, and serious historical fare, JFK, Schindler's List, Saving Private Ryan and Lincoln. The stats are impressive: a 28-film, nearly 50-year collaboration with Spielberg, 52 Oscar nominations, the most for a living person, and second only to Walt Disney with 5 wins, 4 Olympic Games fanfares, 1 presidential inauguration, Obama. For all his accomplishments, Williams has always been undervalued by the classical establishment, but with the children weaned on Williams, now old enough to be composers, musicians, critics and scholars, that is finally changing. "I was immediately smitten by the leitmotifs," says the virtuoso violinist Anne-Sophie Mutter about seeing Star Wars for the first time in 1978 in the Black Forest. "Looking back, they still hold up. All these characters are elevated by his inventiveness. Usually you would go to the cinema to see the actors. I would go to hear John Williams' music." As we reach his 90th birthday, I think the people who just go, "Oh, they all sound the same," just can't justify it anymore, says London Symphony Orchestra's first violinist, Maxine Kwok, who was inspired to join the LSO because it was the orchestra that performed the Star Wars score. "You can play the first 2 bars of Superman, Indiana Jones, Harry Potter and E.T. and people recognise them instantly. They're all different, but by the same man." Subordinate to images often buried under sound effects, film music is often seen as the neglected stepchild of the classical world, but even among such cultural elitism after the success of Star Wars, Williams in particular came under attack for being over-sentimental, simplistic, manipulative and a pasticheur, never heard of that, or worse, a plagiarist. You can easily fall down a YouTube rabbit hole watching videos comparing his music to the classical greats, be it Star Wars, Korngold, Holst, Stravinsky, Superman's Love Theme, Strauss, or E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Howard Hanson. Film music scholar Frank Lerman says, "The examples that are often enlisted, pointing to Williams's influences, are often pretty superficial and used as a kind of gotcha. The broadcast and film concert producer Tommy Pearson suggests Williams makes a deliberate artistic choice to lean into classical and film music idioms as a means of making the exotic alien worlds of Star Wars feel more familiar." And there he is with George Lucas. "One of the key elements of Williams's skill is the absorption of his tradition," says Pearson. He writes with counterpoint and harmony, all those boring traditional techniques that make him a great composer. He's so much smarter than his critics. If he sounds like Strauss, it's because he wants to sound like Strauss. It's not by accident. The groundwork is there in his skill set. There's always been another barrier to serious consideration. The one thing he does so amazingly is create memorable tunes, says Jess Gillam, who played Williams's alto saxophone concerto Escapades at the 2017 prom dedicated to his work. He's a master of melody. His supernatural sensibility for a memorable theme has seen him change a director's mind. When Spielberg suggested the musical signature for Jaws should be a melodic counterpoint to the hulking great white shark, Williams played him the now iconic dum repetition. But it remains a lot of hard graft to craft something that feels as if it's been with us forever. He'll claim crafting melodies is actually the part of composition that he pours the most effort into, says Lehman. Sometimes it's just a very short little motif, but to absolutely lodge them into your brain requires an incredible amount of care, revision and rewriting, until you sand down the rock into a perfectly carved jewel. The themes may be succinct, but they are not easy. Schindler's List is quite a simple line of music, says Gillam, but very demanding to execute with the emotion and the right style. Behind the headline themes is a wealth of writing featuring daunting technical challenges for the most proficient musician. When you record a soundtrack, you don't see the music until the day, says Kwok. Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter was so tricky. It's full of fast notes, sweeping sounds, and an incredible series of scales. I remember going to the listening booth thinking, gosh, I hope that was alright. Another Harry Potter passage, a ridiculously complicated flute solo from The Prisoner of Azkaban, is so demanding and virtuosic, it is now a standard audition piece for orchestras recruiting new flautists. His use of the palette of the orchestra is a really extraordinary thing, says Gillam. He knows the extremities of instruments, when to push to get these colours. For me, that's when the music comes to life. Since the 90s, Williams' reputation has been bolstered by collaborations with superstar soloists such as the cellist Yo-Yo Ma, violinist Itzhak Perlman, and more recently Mutter, who have all interpreted Williams' work away from the movies. I would love for us to delve deeper into the music. He has written for violin, flute, cello, says Mutter, who premiered Williams's Violin Concerto No. 2. He creates incredibly complex cadenzas for the solo violin. I apologise for saying this wrong, I'm not a musician. Well, I'd like to be, but I am tone deaf. The whole musical structure is really on a higher level, as is everything he writes. We are not doing his genius justice by looking at one part of his oeuvre. His music suits being performed in a concert hall, says Pearson. So much film music does not. Also, he writes for a traditional orchestra, which makes it much more compact and easy to perform. He's box office. His concerts always sell out, and he's the only one. Meanwhile, Williams's scores for Jedi, wizards and archaeologists have become a field of academic study. In 2018, Lehman, an associate professor of music at Tufts University in Massachusetts, created a comprehensive catalogue of Star Wars themes, detailing more than 60 leitmotifs and musical ideas from the 9-film space saga and beyond. An act of academic erudition usually reserved for those long dead. Every now and then someone will say, this is a great analysis, but why don't you turn to Wagner, or Puccini? Why are you spending your time on this, says Lehman? One answer is, how much ink has already been spilled on Wagner and Puccini? Let's concentrate on something new that has a vivid relevance to a lot of people these days. Excuse me while I adjust my cap. Williams shows no signs of slowing down and is now at work on the 5th Indiana Jones film. If the symphonic tradition he reintroduced to movies in the 70s has been ousted as the dominant mode in Hollywood film scoring by Hans Zimmer's synth-driven mood pieces, his work has a deeper, longer-lasting legacy. He has this unique ability to tap into the absolute correct emotion at the right time, says Kwok. It's not a dumbed-down music at all. If it was, it would never have lasted. It has the knack of how to score music that creates a visceral reaction without any action on screen. For 5 decades he has touched people around the world. That is spectacular, says Mutter. But that is him, a unique gift to the world. The force will be with him and us always. John Williams, the Violin Concerto with the Berlin Philharmonica, is released on February 4. Oh, very good. Just as an added bit, which I didn't even know what happening, but there he is with C3PO. And if it's I'm sure it'll be Anthony Daniels in here, won't it? It usually is. So there we are. John Williams is 90 years old, and yes, he is the master. I mean, everybody knows his scores from, Star Wars, Superman, as I said, E.T., even 1941, did a good score for that. Because he was also famous for being the lead orchestra lead for the Boston Pops, and I used to like watching them. They were on the telly when I was a kid every now and again, and he'd occasionally play some of his themes like Star Wars and 1941, the 1941 March, and Close Encounters, which for a while, it might still be, I don't know, but it was his favourite score, which is it's odd because it's not one of the scores that you really think was like, not like, it wasn't bombastic, was it, like Star Wars, but more reserved. But anyway, that's one of my favourite films. Anyways, Close Encounters. But I digress. So there we go. Happy birthday, John Williams, 90-year-old, and hopefully still going strong for years to come. So anyway, next up is D. Come on, don't be silly. It's been silly. I've changed that, and I've done it. There we go. Come on now. Amazon's Lord of the Rings teaser trailer to air during Super Bowl. There we go. Come on there. Told you my computer will be stupid today. It's doing me head in. It's doing me head in. It's not scrolling either. It's being daft. Why is it being daft? Let's get rid of that. There we go. Because of that. Yes, I think it will cost that. A pop-up window. Right, presumably it will show a lot more than hands. Or the posters one. Amazon Studios will release the first teaser trailer for its long-awaited The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power TV series on Sunday, February 13th. Well, there's that poster. I thought it looks like Director Krennic from behind from Rogue One. I said that the other day, didn't I? But I'll say it again. I don't care. I'm in a mood. Right, where were we? The first official look video of the most expensive TV series ever made. The first season costs at least $465 million, plus the rest. I've heard they paid like $600 million just for the rights. That we'll see what happens. So that's like $1 billion already spent, isn't it? Will debut during Super Bowl 56. There, know me Roman numerals, LVI 56. The announcement comes on the heels of Amazon releasing teasy character posters showing merely the torsos and hands of its cast. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, follows the forging of the original Rings of Power that allowed the Dark Lord Sauron to spread darkness across Middle-earth. According to Amazon, the show brings to the screens for the very first time. I'll tell you, I'll learn to read one of these days. Brings to screens for the very first time the heroic legends of the fabled Second Age of Middle-earth's history. Fable is fiction. This epic drama is set thousands of years before the events of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and will take viewers back to an era in which great powers were forged, kingdoms rose to glory and fell to ruin, unlikely heroes were tested, hope hung by the finest of threads, and the greatest villain that ever flowed from Tolkien's pen threatened to cover all the world in darkness. Beginning in a time of relative peace, the series follows an ensemble cast of characters, both familiar and new, as they confront the long-feared re-emergence of evil to Middle-earth. From the darkest depths of the misty mountains, to the majestic forests of the elf capital of Lindon, to the breathtaking island kingdom of Numenor, to the furthest reaches of the map, these kingdoms and characters will carve out legacies that live on long after they are gone. The production was mainly filmed in New Zealand, then last fall, or autumn to us, in the UK, it was announced production was moving to the UK. The ensemble cast includes Cynthia Adai Robinson. I apologise in advance, I'll probably butcher some of these names. Excuse me, a bit hoarse. I've been rummaging about with wires and stuff with computers, so it's on, it's all dusty and stuff. So I'm a bit hoarse. I've got a drink, but it's over there, and I can't get up. Look at it. Robert Aramayo, Owain Arthur. As I said, I'm probably pronouncing these wrong. Maxim Baldry, Nazanin Boniadi, Morford Clark, Ishmael Cruz Cordova. I suppose they'll be like rolling your eyes, but I can't roll my eyes. I've got a stupid tongue that's fastened down at front. There's a word for it, but I can't remember. So I can't roll my eyes. I can't do it. But enough of my medical freakness. Charles Edwards, Tristan Gravel, Selene Henry, Emma Horvath, Markella Kavanagh, Joseph Maul, Tyro Muhaffedin, Sophia Nomvet, Lloyd Owen, Megan Richards, Dylan Smith, Charlie Vickers, Leon Waldham, Benjamin Walker, Daniel Wayman, and Sarah, save the best for last, Zwangabani. The debut season of Lord of the Rings will premiere Friday, September 2nd on Prime Video and will air in 240 territories around the world. New episodes will be rolled out on a weekly basis, and that's that. So there we go. So anyway, so the first teaser trailer, I wonder how long it'll be. Well, Super Bowl, so it won't be long, but it costs about $1 gazillion for like 10 seconds, doesn't it, on Super Bowl adverts. So there we go. Hopefully, that'll be alright. But, we'll see. But first, we'll see some moving images, won't we, from Lord of the Rings finally. The Rings of Power. And, next. Tom Holland has one Spider-Man suit request that keeps getting ignored. Tom Holland reveals the one costume design change he has unsuccessfully lobbied for across his 6 Spider-Man appearances in the MCU to date. And it's like a publicity thing. Spider-Man No Way Home star Tom Holland recently revealed a change to the webhead suit that he's unsuccessfully lobbied for throughout his Marvel Cinematic Universe tenure. Zippers. Holland recalled having his costume design request repeatedly knocked back in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Listen, I've played Spider-Man 6 times and every single time I've made that request, but it hasn't happened, said Holland. So it doesn't matter if I'm playing for a 12th time, I don't think I'm going to get that zipper, and I'm happy to live with that. Just pee yourself, don't put one in there. Holland's Spider-Man No Way Home co-star Andrew Garfield does have zippers on his Spider-Man outfit, something which proved to be a humorous point of contention between the pair. Tom was jealous because I have little zippers in my suit that I can get my hands out of very easily. To work his phone, he had to use his nose because he couldn't access his hands, recounted Garfield. But even with zippers on his costume, Garfield still faced the same bathroom-related challenges as Holland and No Way Home's other Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, which is something the trio of Spider-Men bonded over. Garfield explained there was a brotherhood that got created between Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland and myself, and that's healing. We were like, oh my god, you find it hard to pee in the suit. I find it hard to pee in the suit. This kinship between the 3 Spider-Men clearly transcends even zipper envy, as Holland recently put his support behind a belated Amazing Spider-Man 2 sequel starring Garfield. I would love to see the Amazing Spider-Man 3, said Holland. I think what was so wonderful was how Andrew was able to kind of make amends with the character and the studio, to kind of win the general public back. So should Sony decide to do that, she sells seashells, etc., they would have my full support, and obviously so would Andrew. Holland has also spoken about how he regrets not calling Garfield after inheriting the Spider-Man mantle from him in 2016's Captain America Civil War. He said, something I can look back on now with a little bit of clarity. is that I never called him when I took over as Spider-Man. And someone said to me after my second movie that I was done, this other kid was taking over, I would have been heartbroken. Holland concludes that while he regrets not reaching out, No Way Home acted as a way to, to make up for that lapse in judgment, while also granting Garfield closure with his iteration of the wall crawler. Spider-Man No Way Home, it couldn't be in cinemas, and it is. I'm still waiting for the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, home version. And then I'll be able to watch it, because I haven't seen it properly yet. So there we go, so that's that one. Anyway, next. We've got some spooky news next. We'll get this out of the way. This is kind of spooky. It's been daft again, isn't it? Oh, where are you going? What you doing? Oh, it's been annoying. It's been annoying, is my computer today. Let's do a refresh, eh? Do a refresh, see if that works. Hey, is it coming on? Are you coming on? Come on then. Sort yourself out. Right, go away. And you can go away. I've got no ad blockers or anything on, so... Oh, right, here we go. Riddle, see, you can't see off a flaming adverts. Oh. Do you know what? I'll do it later. Riddle of the decapitated skeletons found among the remains of 425 people uncovered in a Roman cemetery near Aylesbury during HS2 works. I know this isn't technically this isn't entertainment related, is it? But I just find it interesting, so I thought I'd share it. Who doesn't like spooky stories? So here we go. Hold on to your hats. The cemetery and associated Roman settlement. Let's move that down because that advert is getting on my nerves a bit. The cemetery and associated Roman settlement was found at Fleet Marston. This once lay on Aikman Street, a key road that ran to the capital of Verulamium. The linear settlement contained enclosures that were likely houses and shops. Archaeologists uncovered artifacts including brooches, spoons, dice and bells. Right, decapitated skeletons, perhaps criminals, not criminals. Perhaps criminals or outcasts are being found in a Roman cemetery uncovered at Fleet Marston near Aylesbury during HS2 works. These adverts are doing my head in. Look at them all. Oh, I have to get an ad blocker on. I'm tempted just to copy this text and just put it in a notepad thing. Hey, archaeologists from Coper, I'm sure they'll tell us what that stands for, have spent a year excavating the roughly 2,000-year-old burial site and adjacent settlement, which lay on Aikman Street, a key Roman road. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Let's scroll down. Right, here we go. In several of the latter cases, the severed head was found to have been placed between the person's legs or next to their feet. Although these individuals could be wrongdoers or social pariahs, there is a precedent for decapitation as a normal, if marginable, Roman burial practice. Alongside the buried skeletons, the researchers also found evidence for a number of cremations, a funerary practice that was less common during the late Roman period. Burials appeared to be divided into two separate areas within the cemetery, with the site perhaps organised by ethnic grouping, family or tribe. According to the team, the cemetery scale suggests that the town had an influx of people during the mid to late Roman period, likely linked to increased agriculture. And here's a picture of one of the scallywags. This is the head there, between the feet, well, between the shins. But you're going to get to the spooky bit. Is it when I get to the spooky bit? There's a bit of Roman jewellery or something or whatever. And a little pot. And a die. Let's get to the say it, is it? I saw it in another article, but I thought I'd read from the Daily Mail one. Interesting archaeological stuff, but anyway, basically, this other article, somebody suggested. No, it's not going to say it, is it? I haven't got that other article to hand. Anyway, basically, they suggested it could be that they thought these people were vampires, so they chopped their head off and put their head after death, put the head between the legs. It's thing that's been done. In other places, also some places they put a stone in the mouth to stop the vampire when it rises to bite you. Sometimes they put them face down because vampires always go forwards for some reason. Anyway, so that's that. Daily Mail let me down there because it was supposed to do with vampires and they didn't even mention it. But this other website did, which I've lost. Because I'm an idiot. Right, anyway, next up, the Oscars. The nominations are in for the Oscars. I'm sure it's lots of films we've never heard of. Let's just move this over that way a bit there so you can see it. There we go. So we'll go through. I'll not go through them all because there's about 80 gazillion. That's today's word, gazillion. 80 gazillion categories in there these days. So we'll just like best picture and actors and actresses and all that, and stuff of interest. So nominees for the best picture are Belfast, which is Kenneth Branagh's kind of a biopic. Or is it a biopic? Biopic. Coda, which I've never heard of. Don't Look Up, which is that comedy on Netflix. How was that got a best picture nod? Of course, I've heard it's I've not seen it, I've heard it's rubbish. Drive My Car, never heard of that. Dune, obviously I've heard of that and it's very good. Hopefully, I hope that wins. King Richard, that's the Williams sisters film, isn't it? Not seen it. Licorice Pizza, I don't know what that's about. Is that some? I think it's in the 70s. I think. Is it about that record store in America somewhere? Somebody said it was called Licorice Pizza. I think it was Gary from Nerdrotic. I keep bringing up Gary from Nerdrotic's name up there because he's a fountain of information about stuff. He said there was a record store called Licorice Pizza because he used to work there. He said. Nightmare Alley, which is Guillermo del Toro's a remake of a 1940s film. Don't know what it's about. Power of the Dog, I don't know what that's about, but it's Jane Campion. She does like highbrow stuff, doesn't she? And West Side Story, Steven Spielberg's musical remake. Although don't remake Singing in the Rain because that would be a travesty, because that is one of the greatest films ever made. Let's have a look at another one there. We'll look at actors. An actor in a leading role. Right, Javier Bardem, well, being the Ricardos, is that Lucy what's her face, Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball? Is that about that? I don't know. Benedict Cumberbatch for Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, which I've not seen. I think that's a musical as well. Robert Meyer Burnett really likes that film. Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. I don't know if that's just a Macbeth adaptation or something adjacent. I don't know. Look at actresses. See, the Oscars are allowed to call them actresses, aren't they? So be an actress. Never mind all these. Oh, we've got to be equal. I know you are equal-ish. We're all equal-ish. There's always issues. Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, never heard of it. Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, never heard of it. Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, never heard of it. Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos, well, yeah, I've heard of it. And Kristen Stewart, I always call Kirsten for something, but it's Kristen Stewart, Spencer, never heard of it. I'm sure they're all super films. What else we got? Animated feature films. Looking here: Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells versus the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. Do you know what? I've not seen any of them, and I like cartoons. I know all this, it's important stuff, but I can't go through them all, can I? Because it'll take too long. Look at directors. Belfast, Kenneth Branagh, Drive My Car, Yusuke Hamaguchi, Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson, Power of the Dog, Jane Campion, and West Side Story, Steven Spielberg. So, what's his face? Denis Villeneuve. No, you're not getting a nod for Dune. They didn't put Best Picture, so you think it'd be like automatic, wouldn't you? Best Picture will get a Best Director nomination, because they like go hand in hand, don't they? And the one film this year, that has saved Hollywood's bacon, Spider-Man No Way Home, I've not seen it anywhere yet. So there we go. There's no gratitude. Film editing. Look at editing. Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom. Still no Spider-Man. I've heard it's got a nod somewhere. We'll have a look through anyway. It'll be in something like what will it be? Something. Look at visual effects. Look in visual. Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi. Anyway, so Dune, really good film, amazing. Free Guy, I've not actually seen that yet, but I've heard it's a laugh. No Time to Die, people don't like it because it's of what happens in it. But you know what? I quite enjoyed it. So, poo to you. And it were nice, not nice because I didn't particularly agree with what they did, but the Daniel Craig Bond tenure, I see it as like a separate James Bond universe, because it is really, isn't it? It goes from his first mission to his last mission. Spoilers. So it can be said, it's a complete James Bond adventure from his, beginnings as a 00 to his ending as a 00. So I wonder what they'll do it next one. What will they do it next film? Will it be another reboot, or will they just carry on? Go back to the old canon? I doubt it. Anyway, Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, another one for visual effects, and I really enjoyed that film as well. A lot of people didn't like it, but I actually had a good time watching that. Sure, it had its problems. I didn't like the rabbit chicken, Mexican Iron Man, copyright Mexican Iron Man, because it made no sense whatsoever, did the rabbit chicken. And what was it, Marvel's Katie, whatever they called it, not Aquafina. She learned how to archer quick, didn't she? Use a bow and arrow. But she addresses that at the end of the film. She said, "I'd like a day's training," and that was amazing. So she didn't expect to be that good, but she was. And Spider-Man No Way Home. There we go. So I knew I got a nod somewhere. That's the only one. Could be in with sound as well, couldn't it? Could be. No, it didn't. Anyway, so we'll leave that there. So anyway, so it's the Oscars website, and it'll be in other places where you can see all of the categories. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm doing here. Can you see? I don't know. There's a little drop-down menu with all the categories on. Best picture, visual effects, sound, writing. So that's screenplay in it, and all cinematography and all that jazz. They do Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. So there we go. So there you go. So you can go look at them and we'll see what happens. But Oscars means naff all these days anyway, and the viewership's going down, and so who cares? I mean, it used to be, if a film won an Oscar, it usually, it made that film a lot of money, because a lot of people want to see, what's this film that's won this Oscar? And but it doesn't really mean that these days, does it? Anyway, finally got some sad news. Douglas Trumbull pioneered visual effects, and 2001 Blade Runner and Close Encounters dies at 79. Very sad, with a legend gone. Visual effects pioneer Douglas Trumbull, one of the masterminds behind the visual effects on some of the most visually audacious science fiction films of all time, including 2001: A Space Odyssey, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Blade Runner, died Monday. His daughter Amy wrote on Facebook that he had cancer, a brain tumour and a stroke. He was 79. My sister Andromeda and I got to see him on Saturday and tell him that we love him, and we got to tell him to enjoy and embrace his journey into the great beyond, she wrote. Trumbull also oversaw the visual effects on Silent Running. Oh, right. The Andromeda Strainer started the motion picture, and he directed eco sci-fi film Silent Running. Natalie Wood starred in Brainstorm. He shared Oscar nominations for Best Visual Effects for Close Encounters, started the motion picture, and Blade Runner. Trumbull also created Universal Studios' Back to the Future: The Ride simulator and helped bring IMAX into the entertainment marketplace. In addition to doing effects work on the classic sci-fi films for which he is known, Trumbull also invented and patented spelling in this article. Go on, Variety, finger that. Trumbull also invented and patented dozens of film tools and techniques, from motion control photography to miniature compositing. In 1993 he shared an academy never mind, Variety, I can't read anyway. In 1993 he shared an I can't say it. An Academy Scientific and Engineering Award for concept, Trumbull. The movement design, Williamson; the electronic design, Auguste; and the camera system, D'Aguilio, of the CP65 ShowScan camera system for 65mm motion picture photography, the first modern 65mm camera developed in 25 years. In 2012 he won the Academy's Gordon E. Sawyer Award, which is a special Oscar presented to an individual in the motion picture industry whose technological contributions have brought credit to the industry. Anyway, and as I said, they were a legend, and as I said, he made some great films. And it's there on Variety if you want to read it. No point going on, because it's a bit upsetting really when somebody dies. So, but yeah, it was really good. I mean, as I said, Close Encounters, one of my favourite films. The effects in that are amazing. Blade Runner, the effects are amazing. That's a film I do like, but it's the effects and the sound and the music that make that film. The script and stuff, and the acting is neither here nor there really. Apart from Rutger Hauer, who steals the film. And Silent Running is an amazing film. Everybody needs to see that. If you don't cry at the end with the little robots, then you're not human. So anyway, so there we go. So that's that. That's as news for today. Ending on a sad note. I'm sure there was something else, but I can't remember. Anyway, so there we have it. That's it. As I said, I'm not in the best of moods, so if I seem a bit off, I am. Because my computer's been stupid, as you've seen. It's been acting up, and I've nearly got my old computer back out, because there's a new one. Nearly got my old one back out, but we've muddled through, and my microphone stopped working, and so I've got this cheapo one which actually seems okay. Anyway, we'll see how we go. So I'm going to sign off, and then I'll do some rendering, and I'll stick this up on YouTube, and you can all laugh at me. Right, I'm off. So anyway, I'm going to go watch some telly, because I'm fed up, and I might have another bottle of Corona. Got a bottle of Nuki Brown in the fridge as well, I might have that. So I'll see thee.